This is Analog Spectrum. One likes the Pina Colada song, one doesn't. Can you guess which is which?
All right, I'm going to hit the record button.
Do it.
And
we are back.
We're back. And honestly, if you listen to our last podcast, you know that we're, again, recording all these on the same day. And we just had a lunch that had some brisket and mac and cheese. So for this podcast, Doug and I, this is Tony, Doug and I are just going to snore.
Yeah. We're just going to fall asleep in our chairs after big fat bellies.
Oh, my God.
That was an awesome lunch, man.
It was pretty good. Yeah, I loved it.
It was good.
All right, so, no.
What are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about our history with cars. And to explain...
Our automotive history.
Yes, both Doug and I are probably, on some level, gearheads.
Yeah, car nerds at least.
Yes, I'm going to go and put credit to. I'm going to say Doug's probably a little bit more than I am, but I was a mechanic for several years, so we're going to see where this goes. We're definitely going to start back when both of us probably first got our driver's license, and what our first vehicles were, and kind of go from there. So,
well, I have made a list of all the vehicles that I've owned.
I did that too because
I think I have. I'm sure I missed probably a couple here and there, but
I don't see. I only have. I think that you're. I'm almost embarrassed to give mine.
Well, I'm transient with vehicles, and it's funny because somebody was talking to me the other day about this, and I'm passionate about it. I love my cars,
right?
But I don't cling on to them. Like, I'll gladly get rid of this one so I can get a different one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Because the way I see it is, it's like I want to experience the next one.
Right.
I don't
get it.
Hang on to it forever, sort of deal.
Yep. So, well, start by how old were you when you got your driver's license?
I want to say.
I mean, when was that? We don't know how old you were, but when was that?
Oh, that was probably. Well, I was probably 16. I think I started driving at 15 illegally because both of my brothers were older and they had cars.
Yep.
And so they let me drive on paper routes and stuff like that. And, I grew up in suburbia, West Palm Beach for the most part.
Right.
But I want to say, I think you had to be 16 to have your license.
Yeah, same.
If I'm not mistaken.
We had learner's permit at 15. And
I think you get your learner's permit.
And I also would steal the keys and take the car out.
I would never do that because my father would literally strangle me if I was to do that. But but I did. My brother let me drive. My dad let me drive, and he had, a variety of things. I think the first vehicle that I probably drove was my brother's GTO, and then he had a GTO.
Oh my! He had that GTO.
Yeah.
Did he ever get rid of it?
Not that one. That was a GT37, which was different.
What?
But my older brother, he had a Cutlass Supreme and he had a GTO.
Two fine automobiles.
Yeah. So, but we'd go do paper routes and stuff, and he'd let me drive, and I could barely see over the dash. I don't know. It was about 15.
Gotcha.
I might have done it at 14, but I don't remember that. I was still on a bicycle, but then my dad got me in behind the wheel and whatever, and my stepmom had a 1977 Monte Carlo. Big ass long boat, and my dad I think he probably had his F-250 at that time.
Right.
And so I drove those around a little bit, and ended up buying. I was in high school at the time, so I ended up buying a scooter, just so I didn't have to ride my bike. I hated riding the bus, man. I always felt like it was a cage. I hated riding the bus. So I rode my bike to school a lot, which I don't know. I should probably look this up just out of curiosity. But it's probably maybe 5 miles. 6 at the most. And I was in Florida, so it rained a lot, so I ended up getting a scooter, and it was just a little, I don't think it was a Vespa brand name, but it was like that, but it was the kind that you had to pedal to get going.
Like a moped.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I drove the shit out of that thing back and forth to school, and that was kind of cool. But then my first car, I remember my dad helped me. We went to a used car lot and poking around, and I wanted there was a TR6 there, and that's what I wanted. And my dad he was all American, Chevy Ford Dodge guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, bullshit, I ain't let you buy no English car.
Probably did you
he probably did do me a favor. Yeah. But what we ended up with, that all I could afford, because I had to pay for my own stuff. He helped me. He co-signed, but I had to pay for it. It was I think it was a 76 or a 77 Volkswagen Rabbit. That's what I ended up with.
Well, not American either.
No, but it was German at least, right? Well, I mean, in his mind.
Okay.
Well,
like I said, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. TR6s and TR7s were not.
Yeah, I know, not reliable. Well,
at all.
The irony is that thing did not last 2 months, I don't think. I think it was Volkswagen's attempt, and they were trying to be economical and all that sort of stuff during the 70s. Yeah. Sort of cars got smaller and cheaper, and the Japanese invasion and all that stuff. And it had the shrouds, so the radiator was set up like an old school car in America. It was the radiator. What do you call it? The
shroud.
The shroud, that's not the right word. The tank, basically,
okay,
was on the top and on the bottom, right? And all the fins were in the middle, and the water flowed between them. Well, on the Volkswagen, they were on the sides.
Yes, and I don't know what those are called, but a tank is a good way to put it. Yeah,
and then so those were plastic.
Yes. Oh wow.
They were plastic. They were heavy duty plastic, but they were plastic. And,
sure.
And I don't know what happened, if I overheated the thing or something. The car was a piece of crap, man. I bought it at one of those totally shady plaid jacket used car dealership things, And my dad knew the guy. That's why we went there. So anyway, the thing didn't last 2 months or so, and then the coupler cracked, started leaking. I didn't know anything about cars at the time. I took it to my dad, and he's like, "Oh, this piece of shit's plastic." So he tried JB welding it, and that didn't work.
Nothing wrong with that, though.
Yeah, right. So we took it back, and he bitched the guy out, and the guy said, "Okay, I gotta tell you what. Instead of taking your money back, and you just pick any other car on the lot." And of course, my mind instantly went to the TR6. Like I said, go get the TR6, and it was gone. So I ended up picking a GMC Sprint. And it was like El Camino, basically.
Okay.
It's the knockoff of the El Camino. Or what did Chevy have? Because the Ford was the El Camino.
No. The
Chevy was the El Camino, and the Ford was the
Ranchero.
The Ranchero.
Yep.
So that's basically what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had that, and that's when we were talking about on a previous podcast where I started in my 6x9 wars.
Yeah.
Basically. It had zero room behind the seats, but I had 4 6x9s cranked in behind the seats. Had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Did you have a speaker box or just drop them?
No, they were just sitting back there, man, because they were magnetic, and they just, that's all I had, dude. I didn't have any money. I had no clue what I was doing.
That's not what the magnet's for, but okay.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
So you can stick it to the body.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Whatever. That's what it was. What about you? What was your first one?
Oh, I'm still laughing about that. Oh my God, I gotta keep that tucked in.
Yeah.
Give me just a minute.
It worked.
Oh my God. No, so my first car was a hand-me-down. Was a 1972 Pontiac Catalina.
Oh wow.
Oh my God, it was a land yacht.
Yeah, land yacht.
So it was my uncle's car, and my dad bought it for my brother.
Okay.
And my brother drove it for a little while, and then my sister drove it for a little while, and then it ended up in my possession.
Okay.
And I think I might have had it for like 3 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
It really is. But what I remember about that car, very similar. Like my brother had put a stereo in there that he'd bought on Crutchfield. It was like the most the cassette player.
Right.
Sitting in that hole in the dash. God, it was so rickety and had 6x9s and some door speakers that he put in, like him and his friends, and it was just, God.
I didn't care. I really didn't. If it go loud, that's all I cared about.
And it did. It would play, as for that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about it sounding good. It was about it sounding
exactly.
loud. Yeah,
just be loud. Yeah.
And but one thing about that car, or maybe two, but one thing definitely about that car, had the Pontiac 400.
Oh, nice.
So everybody kind of looks at, definitely Chevy and Ford to maybe to a lesser extent. I was always a GM guy.
Mm-hmm, same here.
I was always a GM guy. It's just what I felt very loyal to. But Pontiac never did like the small block, big block thing.
Right.
They just had one block and whatever they punched it out to. So they had a 350, they had a 400, they had a 455. The blocks were always very similar in size. Also, for a while there, they used Oldsmobile's 403. But this thing all it had, and going to be very honest, all it had was a 2-barrel, Rochester? Yeah. I think Rochester was a carburetor maker for them. But damn, and so, like, I would, like take that thing and just at a red light, just spin the tires all flipping day long. And so as quick as I could burn them off, I just buy another set of retreads,
Right.
you know, and I was slapping retreads on that thing like crazy, but
That's funny.
it was fast for
Yeah.
a big land yacht.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
It was crazy fast. So I had a real, real love for Pontiac. You know, what I really wanted was a Firebird or a Trans Am,
Right.
you know, and I always had a real, what was it, like the 71, 72 body saw for the Trans Am.
Okay.
Yeah, it
With
was
that
a-
long nose.
Yeah, well, the F body, it looked like, you know, but it was, I forget what it had, like some sort of, like, it said like SD or something like that. I can't remember, but it was just an insane car. But obviously, I had friends, you know, I had a friend that built a Camaro, and I think it was a 73 or something like that.
That was the thing in our day, huh? If you could build a Camaro, because
Yeah.
I mean, where I came from, Mustangs were not a thing. Like I mean, they were there, but that wasn't everybody's dream car. It was always the Camaro. I don't know.
Oh,
why.
yeah, yeah,
And
Camaro.
Firebirds.
Yeah, and you know, they went, the whole F body went through that, you know, like there was a 69, although like 67 to 69 that was similar, and then 70 to I don't know when, but then you got that F body that was in Smokey and the Bandit. And,
Yeah,
you know,
71 to like, was it 79
5
or so?
Well,
No,
yeah,
it
well,
went-
77 was a new F body.
what was it? What was
76, 77, something like that. Because, you know, that was different, a little different than the one that the 71,
okay.
72, 73. I
Okay.
don't remember.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember the years either.
Yeah, and they always had like third gen, fourth gen, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just, yeah, but yeah, I always thought the Firebird was a badass car. Of course, now that, you know, I've lost all my love for General Motors. It's all faded
Yeah.
away because of, you know, they got rid of Oldsmobile. They got,
Right.
and I loved like the 442. I thought that was an amazing car.
I saw one of those in pristine condition about a week ago. Yeah.
It's, to me,
what a great
yeah,
car.
Yeah, and now you know, at the time I would rather, you know, swim in tar than drive a Ford. But
Yes.
but that's all gone now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't afford a
absolutely.
heartbeat. I've never been a fan of. Well, I had a friend who was a big Dodge guy, but I'm just not a fan of Dodge.
Yeah, I'm not a Mopar guy either. They did some interesting stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I can't. You know, there's people that get on that train, and man, that's it. You can't convince
my
them
God.
otherwise.
Well-
But my older brother was that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So my friend, and he may or may not be listening, but we went, and just to kind of jump around here a little bit, we went to I took a college, got a degree. My very first college degree was an associate's in applied science and automotive.
Okay.
You know, and so I learned how to be a mechanic. You
Right.
know, and one of my best friends who actually joined the Coast Guard with me, he had a God, what was it, a Challenger, I think, and in part of our project, we had to rebuild that. We could rebuild a car, right?
Okay.
And so he rolled that damn Challenger in there, and I can't remember the engine. I think it was a 383, but he had punched that thing out, you know, put in pop-up pistons and all that kind of stuff. And this thing had a power plant that was literally like it just, you know, kind of like you were talking earlier about your kit car, you know, like how you're like, I don't want to put too much power in
Yes.
it. It was too much power for the car. Plus,
Right.
he had this torsion bar suspension, which is totally like garbage.
Right.
And I remember he had it parked at his grandparents' house for like the longest period of time, and the flywheel had rusted to the clutch plate. It
shit.
rusted. So when you try to crank it, even if you had the clutch in, it was a 4-speed, like
Yeah,
with a
yeah,
pistol
start
grip
rolling.
shifter. Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it was a pretty badass car, but in this thing was just basically like this rocket ship engine.
Wow.
And but everything else was just almost falling apart, right?
Yeah.
And
That was pretty common back in the
yeah,
day.
it was, but this engine was tuned. I mean, it was scary.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. Like, this
Yeah.
is like if you go into the history of hot rodding and all
Yeah.
of that sort of stuff, that is essentially what most hot rodders did. Like
Yes.
the way when you see hot rods nowadays that are all pristine and
Right.
beautiful, that wasn't the case back then. Most
Right.
of them were hunks of shit.
Yeah, yeah.
They just had a big motor and shiny wheels. You know,
Right,
what I mean?
right.
That's what it came down to.
So check this out. So the flywheel rusts to the clutch plate, right? And so every time he turned the key, even if the clutch was in, it would just lurch.
Yeah, sure.
So we were like, and this is again, why am I still here?
Yeah,
Why am I
you're
not
alive,
dead?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what we did was I got the bumper jack out, the old "do not work on your car" bumper jack thing, and so we jacked this thing
So,
up.
in case anybody's listening doesn't know what that is, those are those weird looking jacks you see strapped to the back of a Jeep.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of things.
Yeah, it lifts the car by the bumper.
Yeah.
It is not meant to do anything other than change the tire.
Yes.
Do not get into the car; you will
Yes,
die.
yes.
So we jacked that thing up on the bumper and by the bumper jack. But now the wheels could freewheel, right?
Right.
So he was able to crank it up. But as soon as it got cranked up, the the wheels started spinning.
Yes.
Right. So it was spinning like, and he could shift. So I guess he had it in first gear. And so as soon as he got it up, I basically kicked it off the jack.
Oh,
literally.
nice.
So the wheels are spinning.
Go, man, go.
So literally,
And that didn't break the clutch plate free?
It did.
Oh, I was
that's
gonna
exactly
say.
what it
I was
did.
gonna say.
That's exactly what it did. As soon as it hit the ground, man, the thing just basically kicked up a rooster tail of gravel and dirt
In your face.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, it was just like I kicked it, just almost like throwing a hand grenade and getting in the foxhole, right? And the thing hits the ground, just burns out, and just good. And it was in his grandparents' field in the back. and so anyway, we drove that. So off it goes, and sure enough, it freed up the clutch plate. We took it back to our apartment because we were roommates at the time, and we took it out for a couple drives. But it was like not
dangerous.
It was dangerous because it would go very fast, very quickly. You'd be out of control very fast. Anyway, okay. So
anyway, cool.
Yeah,
all right. What about your second car?
Oh, second car. Well, okay. So now let me just go through a bunch of cars. It doesn't matter. Okay. Okay. So I sold. So the Catalina. Even though it was just was in a very minor accident, but got totaled out because it had a little damage. They were like, "Oh, you're done,"
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought a Dodge D50 pickup truck, and that was like about 1985. It was an '83.
Okay.
Nice. I wish I still had it.
Yeah.
And
those are cool.
A little fun truck. Sold that. Got an Isuzu pickup. That's what I had when we were friends in Key West.
Yep.
And then I sold that. That was like 1989. Sold that in like '96 and got a Saturn.
I remember that Saturn.
Yeah, it was okay. It was good. I mean, it was reliable transportation. Yeah. And then that's when I got then after I sold that, I got the WRX.
Ah, okay. So you made a jump. So I had a lot of cars.
Yeah,
in between
I know
there.
you do. So
yeah, in between there. Let's see, where are you at?
I'm now in 2003.
That catches me up. Yeah, that catches me up to about here. Okay, so I went to boot camp and I had my GMC Sprint. I actually liked that car. I had an affection for that car. Like it was like that was a cool car.
Yeah.
While I'm in boot camp, my dad sold my car because he was on the title, obviously.
Out from underneath you?
Yep, out from underneath me.
Well, how pissed were you?
I was pretty pissed, but I got over it because he gave me in replacement the '77 Monte Carlo.
Oh, the Monte
that my
Carlo.
stepmom, that was her car. And she was getting rid of it, and he gave me that because he knew how much I really liked that car. I always liked that car. I just thought it was cool. Yeah. Now I look back now, and go, well, Jesus. But anyway, but that thing had white leather interior. Well, it was pleather, right?
Right.
White pleather interior, and it had those swivel bucket seats.
Oh, I wondered where you got all your class from.
That's it. All I needed to do is get a pimp hat, and I was good to go.
Dude, by the way, the swivel buckets are hard.
The swivel buckets.
People want those swivel buckets, man.
Tell you what,
I mean,
I was thinking about putting one of those in my hot rod when I build it, but
why not?
Yeah. Anyway.
No.
I don't know about the mechanism.
I want to stay with the swivel buckets just for a second.
Okay.
Only because I know back when I was hot rodding, like people would have like Camaros or whatever, and they would try to find those swivel buckets, so they could put the swivel buckets in.
Yeah.
Because they were good in 2-door cars.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody doesn't know, it's just a bucket seat, right? At a high back bucket seat.
Yeah.
And then you could push a lever on the side of it and then swivel the thing 90 degrees. So you literally lean forward and step out of your car.
Yes. And
so your legs swung out, and it made easy access and exit.
And also for people in the back seat.
And then in the back seat, it made a nice big gap for people to climb in and out.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I like that feature.
I don't know why that's such a great thing.
I know. Hey, dear Ford, dear General Motors, listen to us. Take our ideas.
Please.
Anyway, so I had that Monte Carlo for a while, and then I ended up, I can't even remember now, this is shocking to me, I can't even remember where I got it, but I bought a 68 Camaro. When I first moved out to California. I bought a 68 Camaro.
I remember that. Was that the car?
The blue one, yeah. And my brother, long ago, had bought these great big-ass rims. Yeah, this is on my class. My brother had bought these great big-ass rims that were two-tone, gold and silver, right? And I always thought they were cool.
They were Kragers.
They were Kragers, but they were two-tone.
Yeah.
And I convinced him to sell those to me. Oh, yeah, total, yeah.
Yeah.
Tony's mouthing bad words. This was janky shit, man. I was 19 years old. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But anyway, so I convinced him to sell me those. And so he did, and he shipped them out to me, and I put those on my car. I put air shocks in the back, like you're supposed to. But anyway, yeah, that car was cool. I liked it. The only thing I didn't like about that car, it was automatic. I had the turbo hydro 350 automatic in it, and B, it was only a 327, and I didn't know enough about cars at that time to like really hop it up and make it fun.
I thought that car had like a 6.
No. 327.
Okay. Oh, well, that's not bad.
Yep. But it wasn't fast or anything. I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't like fast or anything. It's not the car we drove up to.
We drove around a lot.
We drove up to West Palm after Hurricane Andrew and that, didn't we?
Possibly.
I think that was the car we took, yeah. Because then I could afford a decent stereo. I'll put a decent stereo.
That one did have a nice stereo.
Yeah.
We listened to the hell out of Rush.
We did.
Yeah.
Rush in Boston. I think it's who I remember the most.
Yep.
And then I think I'm missing something in between. I think there's a car missing, but the next car I can remember was I went out to Florida, out to California. And I got an 85 Toyota pickup, and it was essentially now SR5. They didn't call it that back then,
right.
But essentially just a little tiny 2-seater. I mean, there was no cab other than the 2 seats, and that was a 4-wheel drive. And when I got stationed in Hawaii, man, I abused the shit out of that pickup. I 4-wheeled that thing all over Hawaii. There's all kinds of red clay and stuff.
Did you go back to Hawaii after you left Key West?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember the sequence.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so then I also, when I was in Hawaii, I ended up buying an 87 Honda Prelude. Mm-hmm. I had a Honda Prelude, which was, I didn't have the fancy version with the 4-wheel steering. Mm-hmm. That came out the year after I got my car, and I was kind of pissed because I wanted that 4-wheel steering thing.
That's cool.
Of course, I'm glad I didn't have it, but... there's a car missing because I couldn't afford that. I got in over my head. I bought it brand new, and it was expensive as crap. It was my first front-wheel drive car, and the salesman was good, man. He's probably dead by now. Well, I hope he's dead.
Burning in hell.
He convinced me to get this front-wheel drive car because he's like, oh, yeah, take this corner and, like, steer in, and then you can step on it, and it'll just pull you through the corner. And I'm thinking, oh, that's kind of cool. And I could feel it, right? It was like, oh, yeah, it works. But then after driving a front-wheel car in the rain, in the snow, I'm like, this sucks. But anyway, I got rid of that, and I got a Nissan Sentra, like the absolute base model, because I lost my ass on that Prelude. I only had that thing for a year, maybe, and I couldn't afford it. I was going underwater in payments and stuff, so I traded it in. And but anyway, yeah. So then I ended up, when you and I were in Key West, I bought that car off of Louis. I know it looks like a 1980 Delta 88 or whatever it was.
That was a cool car.
You remember that thing?
Yeah,
we painted it behind the galley with paintbrushes and rollers.
I'd actually left by the time you did that.
Oh, that's man! I wish you would have seen that.
Yeah.
That was. I took the back seats out and I used it for my drum kit. I had to go from gig to gig, and it was big enough to all my drums and PA system would fit in the back seat and the trunk.
Band. Yeah. And I'm just thinking now you mentioned Louis, we could have a whole podcast.
Oh, I have a whole podcast on Louis. Yeah. And then just before I left Key West, I ended up buying a 95 Chevy Mark III pickup.
I remember that.
It was white, lowered, all that, and that was nice. I tell you, I really liked that truck, mostly because of the leather. It had blue leather interior, but it was like really nice. Mm-hmm. It wasn't cheesy, chintzy, whatever. So that was good. But that got me to the point where I then ended up with the Mitsubishi 3000 GT.
I remember you buying that.
Yep, and that was a fun car. That car was fast. Yeah, that car was fast. After that, Dodge Dually. I had a big old red Dually. Mm-hmm. Had a Volvo GL wagon, GL something wagon. I don't know. Big ass long gold. You know, that car was such a piece of shit. It had a sunroof on it, and I had the sunroof open so much that the wind started to get underneath the headliner from the sunroof.
Right.
And by the time I sold that thing, the whole headliner behind the driver's seat was like flapping. You know.
Where were you in your Coast Guard career? Are you retired then?
No. This was where was I? Boutwell, maybe? I can't remember. That was so I had the Dually when I was on the Eagle.
Okay.
So that was up in Connecticut, and tried driving a Dually in the snow.
Oh God,
that sucked. You know, without snow tires.
Connecticut isn't exactly the most wide open spaces.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Yeah, then I moved to England and I got a Saab.
I remember that. Oh, what was that?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, the Saab is the one that you and I
Blew
tried. Yeah, we blew it up. We tried to get to Stonehenge one day, me and Tony, and we were like, "Hey, yeah, let's go to Stonehenge," and jump in my Saab, and we were going down the ring road, the M25 that goes around London, and the car just. It's sort of getting, I'm like, oh shit, I'm losing power. And we were in the middle lane. I don't know, was that like a 5 lanes wide or something?
Yeah, it's huge.
And that's it. We started losing power. And I'm like, oh shit, I can't get over.
No,
we were trying to get to the side of the road.
It wasn't anything that we had done. It just gave.
No,
gave
the head gasket gave up. Yeah.
I thought of the radiator too.
No, it was.
We did put a radiator in that.
Well, because that's what we thought it was.
Oh.
And then, oh Jesus, we went on an adventure for that radio, taking city buses and stuff.
Yeah, and trains.
And went and bought this radiator and lugged the thing back on city buses and trains to get it.
Let me tell you real quick. I love our cousins across the pond, but their freaking auto parts store
they suck. Yeah,
compared to what we got here.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I'd kill for an AutoZone or a freaking Pep Boys over there.
Yeah, no doubt. But then I ended up getting rid of that and got a Vauxhall.
Yeah, we called it the Marshmallow.
The Marshmallow, yep. Yeah. Then I kept that thing until we left there.
Yeah.
When I left there, we got into an accident. We were pulling out, and some guy was going too quick, and he was cutting along the side of the road, and he hit the side of the car, just the front quarter panel.
Right.
And so the insurance totaled the thing out, and then when it was time to leave England, I said, here, come take your car, and they never came and picked it up. So no joke, when we left, we were flying out of England that morning. Mm-hmm. I left the keys in the gas tank compartment, where you fill up your fuel tank.
Yeah.
I stuck the key in there and called the insurance company, said, sitting in the parking lot, go get it, because I'm out. I have no idea whatever happened to it. So
yeah.
But yeah.
It's probably still sitting there.
The Vauxhall Munza, I think it was called. Yeah, then moved to South Africa after that, and I got a Volkswagen Jetta.
In South Africa?
In South Africa.
But it was a diesel.
It was not. It was gas.
Really?
It was gas.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is there is a lot of diesel vehicles in South Africa.
Yeah. All over Africa and Europe, there's a lot of diesels.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that car, we ended up slipping a timing belt on Safari. We were in Safari, and I didn't know this at the time because I never worked on this car. We just bought it. And the the timing belt on the bottom side of the motor was actually exposed, and I guess it's transverse mounted,
right.
Or whatever. So yeah, there was a cover. Apparently, it was supposed to be down there. It wasn't, sort of like a timing chain cover.
Right.
And we were just driving around on Safari, lions and shit around and whatever. And I guess a rock got up in there and slipped a tooth.
Oh.
And the car wouldn't run. So then we're stuck. We're literally stuck in the Kruger National Park. So, I mean, I remember distinctly there were antelope nearby.
Right.
I was thinking, oh, it's cool. Yeah, it's antelope. And then I was thinking, wait a minute. That's food. That's what lions eat.
Right.
Okay, I'm not getting out of the car. So we stuck around for a little while, and somebody came up behind us, and we waved them down, and they took us to a gas station and got the thing towed back in and got it fixed and whatever. So
nice. Well,
anyway.
Damn.
Yeah, I still got more. So where are you at now? You got your WRX.
Yeah, I only got 2 more vehicles after the WRX.
What?
Yeah. So
okay, I got a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay, so in South Africa.
Get to when you get. Well, probably get to, I don't know. I know you got a lot when you were in California, too.
Yeah, I'll keep going. Okay, So then, leave South Africa, come back to the United States, and my dad lives in Kentucky. I said, yeah, Dad, come back to the United States, got married, all this sort of stuff. And he's like, oh, I get you a wedding present. He got me a 1986 GMC window van. That was his wedding present. The child molester van.
No, we called it something else. We didn't call it the child molester van.
That's what I called it.
The wolf.
The wolf. Yeah,
the wolf.
The spare tire cover on the back had a big wolf
it had a
mural painted
it had a mural
on it.
On the side too, didn't it?
No, just on the.
Really?
No, it was white with maroon stripes, and that had that wolf painted on the back.
It was a custom van.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah. We took that thing to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Oh, Yosemite.
to Yosemite.
Yosemite. Yeah.
It was red velour seats.
That also swiveled.
Swivel buckets.
They swiveled.
Right. That's right. Captain's chairs, they called them by then. Yep.
Yeah.
It was comfortable, but what a hunk of crap that car was.
Squeaked like crazy.
Oh, Jesus, that car was terrible.
Had no suspension.
No suspension, yep. Then Elzette ended up getting a 99 Volkswagen Beetle.
Mm-hmm.
And, for what it was, that was okay. That's when I ended up getting my Mini. I got a 98 Mini Cooper.
Yeah, a
that
real
was
one.
made by Range Rover, right? It was built by Range Rover back in the day, and it's one of the original Mini Coopers.
Yeah, like you see in like in Mr. Bean, not
Yes.
like the
Not like the new Minis.
not the
Yep.
BMWs.
Nope.
No.
Yep. And I will say, on this entire list, that is the only car that I regret getting rid of.
Really.
That car was so fun. I swear to God, it was like driving a go-kart.
Mm-hmm.
It needed more power, but other than that, it was so much fun to drive, man. It was just great. I used to power slide that thing into the parking lot when I worked at Starbucks.
Funny.
I was an opener, so I'd come in at 4:30 in the morning, and I'd just zoom, get about 40 miles an hour, and grab the handbrake and slide sideways into the parking lot.
And there's no way that thing would ever flip over.
Oh, no, shit, no. I mean, I guess you hit a big enough bump, but...
Right.
Yep. So I got rid of that car because the clear coat started to peel on it, and I was kind of getting tired of it. It wasn't a luxury car in any stretch. It was very kind of tinny and stuff. A little tiny little 4-cylinder engine in it, so you had to rev the shit out of it every time you went somewhere.
Didn't it have a Union Jack?
It did, yeah, on the roof. Yep. But the clear coat started to peel, and I said, it was time to get rid of it. So I got rid of that and got a BMW Z3.
Mm-hmm.
I called the Banana, big yellow Z3.
Nice.
And that was the first real appreciation I started getting for BMWs, and because the car itself was okay, right? It was a 6-cylinder, long nose kind of a deal, but when you drove it, it was kind of precision, especially coming off the Mini, which was loosey-goosey. But when you really got on that car and you started driving it aggressively, it changed personality. It like came alive. You get onto an entry ramp onto the freeway, and it was a 5-speed, and you really get on it and start going, the suspension reacted differently. And it really became fun. Just driving around casually was whatever, but... So I hung on to that for a while. Then we got a Honda Element, which I thought was a really cool car. It was really practical. It was freaking massive in the back when you folded up all the seats and stuff. We used that a lot Elsa and I were sports coaches, so we lugged a lot of gear around, and that was real good for that. Then I jumped onto my 53 Chevy pickup, and that was a garage queen for a while, because when I bought it, it was a...
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was. I remember told my friend Mike, who's my best friend for a long time. We drove his truck and trailer up there to pick this thing up. I'm like, nah, Mike, don't worry, man. I'll just drive it back. And he goes, I don't know, man. Let's bring the trailer just in case, Thank God for that. This thing, the transmission mount wasn't even bolted. It was literally a piece of metal sitting there underneath, resting on the frame. And the dude let me test drive it like that, and I'm like, you fucking asshole. Anyway, but that was kind of a complete restoration project. I mean, we ripped the motor out, we gutted the whole thing, painted the whole thing, overhauled the engine, put a cam in it, all that stuff. And that was the first time I really okay, I'm diving in now and really going to do hot rod the cool old-fashioned way. And that was fun. That was probably about a 2 or 3 year project altogether. We built a center console for it, got leather interior, got it all nice, and then moved to Colorado. And when I got to Colorado, I lived in a mountain community, and it was like 1.5 miles up of a steep mountain road. And that truck was 1-wheel drive. I never replaced the differential in the back. It's like the gravel. I couldn't get up the road. So I literally sat in the Walmart parking lot. I was like, this is a cool ass hot rod. Sat in the Walmart parking lot for a week until I could figure out what to do with it. So there was a local shop there, and I put it on consignment and ended up selling it. But that was okay. And then Elseth ended up with a Ford F-150, which we still have, yeah. Which was that to be honest, that's one of the better cars I've ever owned. It's really, really comfortable. It's plenty powerful. It's got that twin turbo V6 in it, so that's really good. And it's been a really solid vehicle. I can see why they're they brag
Everybody
about
loves 150s.
Being number one sellers and stuff. And then when I sold the 53. I ended up getting a Range Rover because I wanted the traction and the quality of the vehicle to get up and down that mountain road, because I knew snow was coming. We moved there in March, right? And I knew it was going to snow and stuff, so I bought a Range Rover, not a Land Rover, but a Range Rover, and I bought the HSE Sport thing, so like 550 horsepower, V8. That was a fantastic car. Yeah, that was really good.
You sold that.
I sold that and ended up getting my current car,
The Beamer.
which is a Beamer, 750 Li with the M package, which so far to date is my most luxurious and fastest car that I've owned. It's faster than the Z3.
Really?
Yeah.
The Mitsubishi?
No, the Mitsubishi, I would say it's probably as fast, if not faster than that Mitsubishi.
And also,
It's got a twin turbo V8 in it.
Well, and you also have a kit car on order.
Yeah, I ordered a Factory 5 kit car, and I was just telling Tony this morning that I saw one on the road this morning, and I've been waffling back and forth between the 33 Hot Rod and the 65 Daytona Coupe. And seeing the 33 Hot Rod on the road today convinced me to get the Daytona Coupe. So I'm going to call them on Monday and change my order from the Hot Rod to the Daytona Coupe.
They won't mind?
Man, it's money for them.
Either way.
I gave them a deposit, yeah. So some other guy will get the 33 that's in line, you know.
Yeah, I was just asking because
they'll just put me in the back of the line for the Daytona Coupe. So,
Yeah.
but that'll be I only decided that this morning, so I don't even know what kind of engine transmission combo I'm going to put in that Daytona Coupe, but it won't be the 427. That's when we were talking about too much power for us. That's just that's crazy, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
So.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, I remember you and I talked one time about AC Cobras and how you can get like the AC Cobra with like the 281, and also I think it came with a 429.
427.
427? Okay, yeah. And I can remember, and that's...
Yeah. Well, so the same company, Factory 5 is the company that builds these kit cars. And it's not like, when you and I were growing up and you get a kit car, you literally had to get 2 or 3 donor cars and scavenge parts.
Right.
And, kind of really Frankenstein something together. And I never really had any interest in doing that because I don't have the tools or the space or the skills.
Yeah.
But Factory 5 figured out that they could engineer it to the point where you can build one of these things in your garage.
Yeah.
And so basically what they do is you order the kit and they ship it to you, and it's a CAD designed race car chassis. So it is a race car frame. So for example, if you get that 33 Hot Rod, if you drive a real 1933 Ford that's been converted into a hot rod, it drives like those old Oldsmobiles that we had, like your friend's car. Too much power, not enough, suspension and all that. Well, these cars are built from the ground up as race cars. So they handle, it's like driving a modern day Corvette when you drive these. So I'm looking forward to that part. But
amazing. It's a big change.
Yeah, but the Cobra is what made this company popular. They do a lot of replica Cobras. So I just don't want that because we live in Texas. And there'll be 4 months out of the year where I will never drive that car because it's just too hot. It's convertible all the time.
When we get done with yours, maybe that'll take me over the top.
Yeah. Oh, you'll love this car, man. You'll love that 65.
All right, so let me finish my list.
Where else were you?
Oh, well, so I mentioned in 2003 I bought a WRX.
Yeah, which that was a cool car.
That was a freaking fun car, man. Probably my biggest mistake with that is I did buy it new, and I wanted the best possible, and I had them put a, you could buy
upgrades.
Yeah, WRX upgrades that they would install, and I put an exhaust system and a handling packet on it. Package, and that handling package is.
You had a rally car.
Yeah, but it was rough. I mean, like you felt every bump.
Yes.
But that car was crazy fast. I mean, it was a 2.5 turbo, and the turbo was like the size of a turbo that would be like on a diesel truck. It was just once it spun up. So you drive a car that's supercharged, and you have all that horsepower that's immediately to the wheels, but a turbocharger has to spin up.
Yeah, spins up. Yeah, they've solved that problem now. So like if you drive that F-150 nowadays, I forgot what they call it, but it gets rid of that turbo lag.
Yeah.
And it's like almost instant now. Like LZ's car, that 6-cylinder is crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even mind it that much, only because I like the fact that like you hit maybe 335 on the RPM, and it would shove you in the seat.
Right.
Of course, once I got to the point where I could. It was 5-speed. I got the 5-speed, and I got to the point where I could. I would. Once came off the line, once it was tacked up, I would leave it there.
Yeah,
you know
you
what
could
I mean?
keep it up there.
I'd keep it up there. Yeah. So, but.
So what happened to that car, Tony?
I rolled it. I actually rolled it. I was actually street racing somebody and illegally, and I was on their tail, and the guy, I hit the brakes to get me off his tail, and I whipped the wheel and rolled it. And
Ouch.
yeah, it sucked. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I mean, again, the things we learned.
How fast were you going?
Probably about 85.
Oh shit! You rolled it at 85?
Yeah, yeah.
God
It rolled
damn.
multiple
I
times.
didn't know that. I thought you were doing like 45 or 50.
No, it was a mess. Yeah,
Wow.
but again, I wasn't hurt.
Wow.
The car was very safe. It was
That
very
says
safe.
a lot for the car, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. You know, I probably rolled like 3 or 4 times.
Jeez.
And I remember the cops came and
Did you land upside down or?
Yes, I was upside down.
Oh.
And when I got out of it, I remember the guy that had done it. I think he had immediate regret, so he pulled over to the side of the road and he was coming back to check on me. And of course, I got out of the car. I was fine, but I was shooken up.
Yeah.
And I looked up at him, and he was walking back like with this look of shock on his face. I don't know who he is or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at him and I just waved him away. I was like, "You do not need to be here."
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Let me eat this.
Uh-huh.
You know, and it worked out fine. I mean, you know, it was just it was it was just bad. I'm not
Yeah.
proud of it. It was
Yes.
bad, you know,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
hated the fact that I ruined that car. It was a lot of fun. I mean,
Right.
it tore me up to do it. I probably would still have it today if I had
Yeah.
rolled it. But it was funny after I rolled it. I immediately bought like another Subaru, and it was supposed to be a gap filler car.
Mm-hmm.
I bought it. It was another Subaru Impreza, not a WRX, anything like that. 1998 model, total piece of garbage.
Yeah.
Right? Drove that thing for like 11 years.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
big gap.
It is. Well, it was funny because we moved to Seattle. And once we're in Seattle, like you just don't have a nice car in Seattle.
Yeah.
You know, Seattle is one of those cities and parts of the planet that just is not easy on cars, right?
Right.
And I remember a quick funny story that we got back to Texas and we hadn't been here. When I bought the car, it had hail damage.
Okay.
So the car already had hail damage. It was already
It already looked like crap.
yeah, it looked like an orange peel, right?
Mm.
And we were here like a year, and a massive hailstorm came through, right? And it totally and I already bought my next vehicle. I had a truck, but it was in the garage, and we'll get to that in a second. But my wife's car and the other Subaru, and she's got a Subaru, and the other Subaru was out in the driveway, and it just like. You know, had the hail damage, but I was like, I wonder if I should just contact USA and
Hell yeah.
have them take a look at it. So they come out and they looked at the little 98 and they're like, Jesus Christ. It's like,
Let's just
it's
get to
like-
go to
it's
Iraq
like, where-
or what?
Yeah, where was this thing in the hail? I mean, did you literally have this thing like did you drive it around and just did you follow the hailstorm as it was leaving San Antonio? Because it looked like somebody just dumped a bucket load of like a bulldozer load of gravel on it, right?
Right.
And I was like, I don't know what happened. It was weird, right? And so the guy was like, well, you know, we'll give you like $3,000 or whatever, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, is there any way I can keep the car, you know? And he goes, well, we'll give you half of that and you can keep the car. I was like, that's fine.
Well, I agree.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, it was like 1,500 versus 3,000 or something.
Right.
And then Melanie's car, we took it to the shop and I was driving my truck and she was driving the car, and she was actually downtown on Broadway, and somebody came across like 3 lanes of traffic and caught just the very front quarter panel of that car, that Impreza. I mean, honestly, it like knocked out a turn signal, right?
Right.
And they were like totaled. Like when the USA
Yeah.
came, they were like, it's totaled. And I was like, well, can I take half of it? And they're like, it's totaled. Okay, we're not going to kick this can down the road anymore. Either take the money or whatever.
That's an insurance deal though. If they sell it to you as a totaled car and something bad happens, then you can sue them.
Yeah, I guess so. But they didn't want anything to do with it. So I ended up. But honestly, the car was difficult to drive. It was.
Yeah.
It had really kind of seen it. You know, I was thinking about this earlier because we were talking. I ended up buying. I had my truck, which is a 2015 Toyota Tundra, kind of like you talked about your Mark III, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very similar, just a freaking nice truck.
Yeah,
man.
it's beautiful inside and comfy.
Super comfy.
Texas edition even.
Yeah, well, it's a 1794 edition. And the reason they call it a 1794 is funny because it's built here in San Antonio, and 1794 is where the ranch that the Toyota factory is on. That's when it was. Okay. Yeah,
I thought that was a surcharge they charged you just because they Texas on it. Yeah,
you know, it's funny because when I got it, it's a blue truck and it's got brown like brown leather interior.
Yeah.
I wanted to have silver, like gray interior, and the guy was like, "Are you a big Dallas Cowboys fan?" And I'm thinking, "I know." And he goes, "If you buy this truck with silver with gray interior and blue truck, everybody's gonna think you're a Cowboys fan." I was like, "All right, no."
Pass.
So I ended up getting the
I think the interior is awesome on that car.
Very nice, yeah. And so anyway, and then when I got rid of that, I got the FJ Cruiser. But I was thinking, it's interesting because the FJ Cruiser is a 2011.
Mm-hmm.
It's 11 years old. It's still like in amazing shape. It's as close. I mean, to me, it's as good as a new car. I mean, other than it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. I was thinking back to that Catalina I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
When I had that Catalina, it was like 11 years old too.
Right. And the difference.
It was a piece of shit.
Yes.
It was a fucking piece of shit.
Well, it's because it's a piece of shit from the beginning.
Yes. I think a lot of it has to do with nowadays when they make cars.
Yeah,
especially,
they're way better.
They're way better.
Yeah.
Way better. So, but I don't know.
Well, it's like that Beamer that I drive, man. You haven't even been in my car yet.
I haven't, no.
You need to take a ride in this thing.
I do.
It was like I paid. I don't even want to give the numbers. I got a really good deal.
Okay.
I got a really good deal on this car.
Right.
Really good.
Yep.
And it was like brand new inside.
Okay.
Like brand new inside.
Right.
There's a couple of scratches on the outside, and there's some issues with the paint. It's not. I mean, 10 feet away you can't tell.
Right.
But it has some water spots and stuff that you can polish out. Which once I ever get my garage done, I'll do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's like brand new inside. It's got all the bells and whistles, paddle shifters, it's got a heads-up display on it. It's got a Bang & Olufsen stereo system in it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it is just nice to drive. And if you feel like getting froggy,
Yeah.
you know, you throw it into Sport. It's got Sport and Sport Plus.
Right.
And Sport Plus takes off all your traction control stuff. When you throw it into Sport or Sport Plus and you start using the paddle shifters, that thing hauls ass, man. It is crazy fun.
Well, you know, it's weird as far as talking about comfort and just like the truck, you know.
Yeah.
Because the truck is barely, I mean, it's a truck, but
Yeah.
it might as well just
They
be
drive like a big car.
It's a luxury car, really. And I remember probably when I was in my 30s, maybe when I had like the Saturn or maybe even with that Impreza, I remember thinking, I think I'm getting old, but I never want to go on a long road trip. I just feel like every time I go on a long drive, I'm just crazy uncomfortable at the end of it. That truck like changed my mind.
Oh,
and all
yeah,
that. Like
totally.
now I can drive because I just got done driving back and forth to Utah.
Yeah.
And it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
No,
so let me ask. So just to kind of summarize, out of all those cars you've owned, the Mini Cooper is the one.
The Mini Cooper, yeah.
Yeah, mine would be the WRX.
Yeah, the Mini Cooper was fun. I will have to say that this Beamer is starting to edge out the Mini.
Wow.
Only because it offers a lot of the same fun factor, but it also adds in the creature comfort.
Nice.
Because the Mini was from the interior, very, very basic.
Right.
Tinny and loud and road noise and all that. And this thing, I mean, I'm not kidding you. When I drive to work in the morning, I drive on a 2-lane country road, and it's 25 or 30 miles. And if I'm early and there's not a lot of traffic, I mean, you do 90 or 95 and it feels like you're doing 50.
Right.
It's ridiculous, this car.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's funny to talk about.
Tell that to Officer Ruiz. Yeah.
I
thought I was doing 50.
You mentioned, but maybe I'll end it on this. I remember when you were living in California, and I had to drive. The first time I drove up to Seattle. I was driving Melanie's. She had a what was that damn vehicle? It was like the Geo. It's like a little Geo.
Oh, yeah.
Little 4-wheel drive.
Jelly bean kind of thing.
Oh my God, that thing was you talk about comfort or lack thereof in a vehicle. Yes. I swear to God, when I got there, one thing about that is her car. It was like falling apart, even though, by the time I was like, probably like 40 hours into that trip, I was just like, oh my gosh,
I feel like you're crippled.
So she had her and of course the thing's a piece of shit, right? If she listens to this, Melanie, it's a piece of shit, right?
Yes.
But one of the air vents had fallen off. Like, in other words, yes. Do you know the story?
No.
So one of the air vents had just popped out the dash, and I had like put all the last of our belongings in this vehicle, and I didn't realize how it was going to be, but honest to gosh, it was like I was driving. It was like a all I had was that seat. Everything else was just
packed with stuff,
just shit, right? And I'm driving this thing, and it's just like, man, I was like, and the wheelbase was the perfect width or whatever of like how they cut the concrete.
The concrete road.
So it's like, and so I was just like, I know for a fact. Okay, everybody's like, no, I know. I had my own bouts with cancer. This shit gave me the cancer. I guarantee fucking it. Yeah. So, but anyway, so I'm driving, and the air vent had popped out, and I had my phone, like the cell phone, and And so I was driving, and I went to throw that phone up on the dash, and I fucking threw it in that air vent, man. I threw it in that goddamn air vent. And so I hear it like, and I was like, no! I mean, like, literally. Yeah. And so right after that, like, Melanie starts calling, right?
Oh, shit.
And so I'm not answering. So what does she do?
Calls back,
right? That phone for like 6 hours in between like Portland and freaking never stopped ringing. I swear to you, like I never drove that thing again.
No,
never. I had to order a new phone. Couldn't get it out of there.
Traumatized.
It was the worst. Anyway.
Yeah.
WRX I would keep. So.
The Mini is the only car that I would buy again.
Yeah, we might.
But I'll have to tell you this. You know, I was talking about creature comforts and all that sort of stuff. I will tell you this: that when I get that Daytona Coupe, that is not going to be a luxury car.
No,
it's going to be like your WRX. You'll feel every bump. It's got a tight suspension on it. It's loud as hell. It's hot. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to love it.
We're gonna revisit this.
Yeah. Okay. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while, so we probably should end it here.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Because we listened to Doug had a lot of damn cars.
I had a lot of cars, and that doesn't even include the motorcycles. There's a bunch of motorcycles that need to fold in there somewhere.
And a couple airplanes.
No airplanes.
A blimp.
No. I had a magic carpet. That's the podcast for another day.
That is burying the lead. Okay, so, all right, everybody. Well, thank you again for listening. We're going to end it there. I hope everybody has a great day.
Post up for us your favorite car.
Yes, post your vehicles, or if you have vehicle questions, or
don't post vehicle questions.
Sure,
We're not going to answer.
No, please do, and let us give you the wrong info.
Yes.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. And
see ya.
You have a great day. Bye.
This is Analog Spectrum. One likes the Pina Colada song, one doesn't. Can you guess which is? You're ridiculous. Oh, man.
You're welcome.
That's amazing.
This has been an Analog Spectrum production and presentation. As always, Doug and I really appreciate you taking a break from your crazy-ass life and listening to us shoot the breeze for an hour or so. It really means a ton to both of us. With every episode, we're growing slow and steady, and there's no shortage of crazy, ridiculous stuff for us to talk about. But with that said, we're always looking for new ideas in a different direction. So if you have a show suggestion, or hell, if you have a fascinating story you want to tell, send us an email at analogspectrum, and that's all one word, at gmail.com. And maybe we'll talk about what you want to hear. Or better yet, maybe you can be a guest on the world's fastest growing podcast that happens to be hosted by two 50-something-year-old guys talking about mindless idiocy. As I've stressed in the past, we have a website. You can find the link in the show's description. Check it out. I can pretty much guarantee that you'll find something that interests you from one of our previous posts. Even more essential, please follow us. We're on all the major platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Once subscribed, you'll get a heads up about our weekly uploads. Finally, for any cast you've enjoyed, please leave a comment. I read them all. And leave a 5-star review. And if you're thinking about leaving something less than 5 stars, I'll just go ahead and say it. That's pretty messed up. But hey, that's fine. You gotta do what you gotta do. Oh, and you can do us one other favor. Share our show with like friends, family, enemies, and maybe that random stranger on the subway that had that crazy ass look in his eyes. Sharing makes us grow. And the bigger our Analog Spectrum community gets, the better our shows will be. Okay, that last part's not necessarily true, but sharing is caring or some such nonsense. As always, thanks for joining us on this ride, and we look forward to sharing more Analog Spectrum awesomeness with you soon.